Not everybody knows you yet, so would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, so Maduka Chidebelu-Eze. I'm the founder of Knnktor, and Knnktor was set up to be able to connect businesses and investors and provide an objective view of companies and projects in mainly in the developing in countries and regions like in Africa. And so that's really what my focus is on.
Great.
Yeah.
And what's your explain what your relationship to Zergratran is? So why are you here?
Zergratran is the opportunity was presented to me to invest, and Zergratran is a really unique opportunity because of the impact it's going to have on the region and what they're trying to resolve. That in a clean and responsible way, trying to provide an alternative to the congestion that is seen in the Panama Canal. And so to help relieve that and to give shipping companies an option to move goods between the Pacific and the Atlantic. So
yeah, the canal is still operating at max capacity, right? And they're not going to make it any wider, and the ships are not going to go any faster. So I think it's about 13 or 14,000 ships that can pass through the canal, and that's it.
Yes, and so it needs urgent increased capacity with the growth of the global economy, and the Zergratran is working on the Pila solution that will resolve that.
Yeah, so you're referring to Pila, Puerto Internacional Las Americas,
yes,
which is the first project that Zergratran is working on, which will be a new Atlantic and a new Pacific port in Northern Colombia. Both will be connected by an 80-mile tunnel through which containers will be transported via magnetic levitation. Which people can look up on the Zergratran website, where we have an Insights article that explains that technology. Mm-hmm. But it essentially means that containers can be transported with high speeds from one side, from the Pacific side to the Atlantic side, or the other way. So it's going to be a really a fast way to transfer containers. Now, you told me in the introduction about Knnktor and about your involvement with developing regions. Do I say that correctly?
Yeah. So we with the developing regions, we try our best to identify businesses and give them exposure, provide a channel for funding to those businesses as well in the developing world, because a lot of investors have they don't want to deal with things that they don't understand. Mm-hmm. So Knnktor helps them understand the region, helps them understand the companies, and marry them with their strategies, so that they can have a benefit from the relationships with companies in those regions.
So, and how do you see the northern part of South America, or the South American region in that sense?
Oh, it's the South American region is part of the BRIC, what they call the BRIC, mm-hmm. And it's a high growth region. And when we look at Brazil, even Colombia is a part of that. But in South America, it's the surrounding countries are not as high growth as like the Brazil, right? Because of the resources and the population. So what I see is that Colombia being the gateway to South America and that's what it's called, really, the gateway to South America through the Central American corridor. I see that there's an opportunity to connect and benefit from the expected growth in that region. And with effective ports and an effective port and transport system, there's a lot of opportunity in that region for growth, and a lot of opportunity to affect the indigents, the locals, and the local economy is definitely going to benefit. But beyond the local economy, it's the regional economy will grow as well with effective ports in Colombia.
Yeah, and I guess there are large parts of Colombia. Obviously, it's nature, it's jungle, and there's not a well developed how do I say this, distribution system of railways and highways like in the United States or in many European countries. So I guess if you create a port that can not only move containers from one side to the other, but also can act as a distribution hub on both sides and take containers off large ships and put them on smaller regional ships, the disbursement of goods is going to increase as well.
Right. All right. So, we can step back a bit and take a look at just, what economics is. What does that really mean? And it's really just a flow of money, right? Yeah. And it's a flow of capital. And so right now they have a port in the north on the Caribbean Sea, and they have one in the southwest, right, on the Pacific.
Yeah.
And they're ports, and they're actually pretty busy ports. But there's an opportunity with the tunnel between the two ports that now raises a lot of traffic, right? And the thing is, in Colombia, especially in the rainforest region, there's a lot of land and property that hasn't been touched for thousands of years, all right? And they're very high and very concerned about preservation of the forests and the land. So when you think of a tunnel is really probably the least invasive way to be able to solve this problem, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, though, there may be some minimal impacts in regards to the construction of it and making sure you have access points to some what's required with tunnels and boring and all that. But the point is to reduce that impact, because at some point something's going to happen between those regions. Then we might as well create something that is environmentally less invasive. And this tunnel, I think, between the two solves the problem and is less invasive and an efficient way to get goods moving from the Pacific to the Atlantic.
Yeah, and the way the goods are moved, I mean, it's the magnetic levitation technology is one of the reasons that the solution is so sustainable, because it uses very little energy, which makes it possible to use available natural resources like sunlight or wind or hydroelectric power to transport all these tons of goods from one side to the other.
And that's where Zergratran comes in to be able to build the infrastructure that will actually do that. It's a challenge. It really is a challenge. You talk about the weight of the containers and what might be in it, how you track it, that sort of thing. Making sure that they move or if they're on skids or whatever solution we actually finally decide to use with the magnetic technology to move it from one port to the other. Yes, it can be efficient, but we have to solve those problems as we get deeper into working on a solution for this.
Creating such a transportation system and creating the possibilities to increase the flow of goods and to make it easier to distribute goods across those regions. I mean, that in itself has a huge impact. But the creation of a infrastructural project of this size has quite the impact on a region like this as well, I imagine.
Absolutely, and understand that as I created Knnktor, one of the reasons why I did it had to do with a simple formula, and that formula highlighted the fact that a developing region was highly dependent for success and growth on foreign savings and foreign investment.
Yes.
Okay. That's investment that is willing to finance like a trade deficit. Okay. So if you're in a region that is typically poorer, all right, than the so-called developed regions, you need foreign investment and you need investment in infrastructure, right? And so that investment in infrastructure is going to help drive a positive, I'll say, national savings for the country. And so my passion and mission is to reduce the cost of capital for those regions, and also by creating and providing access to alternative financing that is affordable, right? And so, but the same thing kind of applies here. You got this project, you got this infrastructure project, and an infrastructure project is going to bring in a lot of investment, whether it be internal. Yes, the government is going to invest in themselves, but you're also looking at not just from the personal savings from the Colombians themselves, but we're talking about investment from all over the world that comes in to finance this huge project. And in financing the huge project, now there's so many other things and benefits that come from that. It's one thing to have the capital flow in, but the capital is flowing in to fund the human resources that are required to build the project, right? Yep. So you're bringing in human resources. You're going to have a lot of foreign nationals coming in as well to share technology, right? Share knowledge and technology. We're talking about the technology that's on the cutting edge. And so that raises the region's credibility and ability to be able to support this, not just for Zergratran's projects, but for other projects that will evolve from what we're trying to do in the region. And so the expectation, I mean, right now, Colombia, when you look at its middle class, has been growing since 1982 at about a rate of 2%. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
And if you compare it to like China and India, China is about 9%. Okay?
Okay.
Which is the standard for an emerging market, right? Right now. And then India is at about 5% as well.
Okay.
And if you look at that, and we have to look at the population growth as well for the region as well that could support things like this. But just looking at the infrastructure, looking at the capital coming in, the jobs that will be created, the opportunities that will be created from just the construction of this massive project, it's going to inspire a lot of other opportunities especially in those port cities, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, we leave a lot of what's in between alone. That's the goal, right?
That is the goal.
But there will definitely be tributaries, and there may be some service links that will be required, and that could also improve the quality of life for the people and create job opportunities. Now, that was a lot said in a few minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just checking my notes here to see if I covered everything that I wanted to discuss with you. Mm-hmm. You talked about flow of capital. We spoke about the effect of the project on the region. The effect on the environment is well, you could say minimal in the sense that the impact on the region is minimal because we go under it instead of through it. I mean, a canal is well, there's not much more through than a canal, so we're going to go under. Actually, and the project is not only going to benefit the region in terms of sustainability, but I guess the world as a whole, because the shipping industry is in itself responsible for, I think it's 3% of the total carbon emissions.
Right.
And we take away a lot of ocean miles by making this fast connection between the Atlantic and the Pacific, because less ships will need to go the longer routes.
Right, and it's not just a lot of ocean miles; it's a lot of ocean miles of shipping empty containers
as well.
So now we reduce that, and you make shipping a whole lot more efficient. Just by reducing the air that they're shipping.
yeah. And we're not even using any air because we're on the ground.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
But
nice.
But there is one thing that we probably didn't talk about that we just need to highlight, and that is a lot of this. There are risks. Obviously, there are risks with every project, and the risks with this project are simply, I believe, the fiscal and monetary policies of the country, and obviously the direct trade agreements that could be impacted or generated from what we're doing, and we believe that things look good right now with the direction Colombia is going in, and so that's good, and I think that's favorable to what we're trying to do. But obviously, that's a risk for any major infrastructure project anywhere in the world.
I think the second large. So if the Zergratran, the Pila project is completed, I think the second largest infrastructural project in the world is actually the Panama Canal.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's something that was widened a while ago, but it's something that started at the beginning of last century. So I guess in that sense, it's also time for humanity to take on something huge again.
Yes, it's exciting, right? Because it's not just the size of the project, and it's the technology behind it. It's the innovation that will be created from the challenges and problems you run into in a project like this. Those things excite me as an engineer because I am a mechanical and electrical engineer. So just from a technology perspective, having to build a maglev system through a tunnel and solve problems I can see the myriad of challenges.
You can't wait. That's obvious.
Yeah, but the challenges are going to be solved, right? And hopefully, Zergratran is able to do that strategically, not just for itself as an entity, but for the region. And that's the biggest thing for me, is impact on the region. How do we help the people? How do we make it easier for the governments to be able to come through on their promises? And so, with projects like these, we create jobs, right? Everybody promises more jobs and a better life. And that's what we want to do. We want to help create a good flow of capital. We want to raise the middle class a little bit, so that the quality of life increases for the people.
Yeah. So I guess that's there's no better way to end this, Maduka.
Thank you. Yes.
So thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and your experience with this, and thank you for your time.
Martin, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.